Hey, folks, happy Wednesday. Back for another strategy talk. Super excited to be joined by my mother and partner, Angie. Going to dive into some fun topics today. It's the start of spring. April is here. Thank
Hard to
Jesus.
believe.
I'm excited for the new weather, some sunshine. But what's really great is, not only the change in season, but it's an opportunity for us to kind of do some reflection on our business. So I want to start with some fun, creative stuff. Angie, I'm going to pass it over to you. What are we talking about?
Yeah, so today we are talking about kind of refreshing your brand, but not from the perspective of a redo, like a full redo. We're not talking about redoing your brand or your logo, but really bringing in spring and how brands are doing that and how cool it is. It doesn't even matter. I mean, even B2B businesses can do this as a way to just get some new eyes on what you're doing out there, especially digitally, and bring in some of the really cool colors. So I just think it's really fun. It gets us excited for spring. We're all kind of worn out, especially here in the Northeast of winter. And so
Yeah.
I'll share some of the colors and such. So I always love every year, and if you don't do this already, I suggest you follow the Pantone color of the year. So just get on the Pantone on the internet, and
Mhm.
it's really cool to get in there anyhow and play with their colors and see what's matching colors and what colors they're coordinating together these days. For those of you who are the designers and the creatives within a company, you'll love that. But they always do a color of the year. I wasn't that thrilled this year because it's called Mocha Mousse. And I like it. It's classy, sophisticated, but it, wasn't a great pop of color for spring or anything. However, they're doing really cool stuff with it in brands. So they're like
Yeah.
pairing it with pinks and blues and muted colors and making a really soft but catchy palette that you can play with. So I love referring people into the color of the year this time of year and just say, like, what can you do with this in your design? And then, but what's hot right now in fashion and interior design and
Mhm.
advertising design are some of these colors that you'll see. The blues, like azure blue, periwinkle blue. There's a green out right now that they're calling frog green, which is super cool. Um, they're bringing in yellows, which not a lot of people like yellows. It's
Yeah,
one of
it's a
my
hard color
favorite
to combine.
colors. But they're doing it more on the gold side, but bringing in yellows. And so also like the soft pinks are staying in. So like as we head into Easter or Resurrection Sunday, however you refer to it, like it's really cool to get your logo, get out and maybe bring in some of these colors, just do a temporary logo. Like we've done that before.
Mhm.
Um, that you can share for a month or a couple months. It's a spring temporary logo. Um, and just have fun with your brand design. And what it does is when people are scrolling past, if they're used to just passing by because maybe they don't look at your stuff, it's like, wow, what's this? That's a really cool thing. It's eye catching. And believe it or not, it gets engagement. So if you're looking for
Yeah.
engagement, it's like a great thing to do in the spring because everybody is ready for some bright sun fun in their life this time of year.
100%. And I think you sort of touched on it a little bit, and there's some ways to do this. To your point, it doesn't have to be a complete overhaul to your branding. So I know sometimes when we talk about this with folks, they get a little concerned of like, well, wait a second, what are we trying to change everything that we've already established? And it's absolutely not the case. Really, what it allows you to do is take a fresh look at, what are some of the core pillars of your business. We have some core values. What are those? Are there colors that align with some of those core values? When we talk about blue, we talk about trust, we talk about credibility. Like, are there colors that may align with some of your core values that are new fresh takes or new fresh colors that you can incorporate? So it doesn't need to be a complete change of your corporate color wheel. It's more of an enhancement or a way to elevate it for the season. And to your point, Angie, there's ways to do that from a social perspective. It doesn't have to be a complete overhaul in everything you're doing digitally, but maybe there's some fresh splashes of color in what you're doing with your social posts. It's an opportunity to take a look at your banners. Do you want to update your social banners? Do you want to play with some colors in those spaces? Because those are regular eyes for folks. And as to your point, folks land on a page, they see a new splash of color. There's some level of engagement there, or piques their interest to dig a little bit deeper. So just some creative ways, to spin into the season.
And what I like to recommend that designers and the creatives, especially if you're helping to create like a brand strategy for somebody, if you are on the design team or you're heading up the design team, it's easy to get stagnant, like to just get like, I can't think of anything new. Get yourself to like a Barnes and Noble, and up there are multiple magazines that really bring out what's new in design. And although this isn't interior design, if you look at some of the interior design trends, some of the art magazines that are up there, you're going to get a feel for what's hot now.
Yeah.
What's new now, what some of the patterns even, like, it's not just like bringing in like azure blue and frau green. There's really cool patterns that are in now. And if you have a black and white logo, you can fill the background with like a really awesome pattern that's hot right now. So it doesn't just have to be changing the color. So I just recommend, if you're a creative, and even if you're just on the team, the marketing team, and you're just like, you just need something to spark your creativity, get out there and look at some of those magazines, spend an hour of your time, buy a couple of those magazines, keep them on your desk. It's going to be well worth it to you to really get you back in the mood from a creative perspective.
And sort of piggybacking on this conversation of spring, refresh, a little bit of splash of color, a splash of, elevating the ability to what you're doing, it's a perfect time to take a look at that, but also a quarterly review. So we just wrapped Q1. We're shifting into spring.
Hard to believe.
What worked in Q1? Yeah, absolutely. Hard to believe is very, very true. It's time is flying, but the beautiful part of getting to a new quarter is not only this sort of opportunity for a fresh creative take, but an opportunity to look back at what worked, what didn't. So when we talk about quarterly reviews, this isn't just, hey, we had a big win or we had a big loss, but what's the data behind that win? What's the data behind that loss? Are there trends that you can lean into? Is there messaging, to your point, were there images that really, really landed? Were there pictures that really, really landed? How could you take those and do a fresh spin on those for the next season, for the next quarter? It really does allow you to course correct in real time.
Yeah.
And often this is where we talk to clients that just frankly miss the boat because they're not leaning into the data that's readily available to them. So we talk about quarterly reviews. What kind of data? There's your social data. There's your social analytics.
Yep.
There's your website traffic. What does the conversions look like? What's the bounce rate look like? What pages are folks going to? How long are they living there? Perhaps
sales data.
There's the sales data. There's the marketing campaign data. There's a lot, and it can very much become overwhelming. So what we try to do is take it in quarterly chunks. You can take a look at the progress quarter over quarter, and really lean into where you see some potential anomalies. Was that just an anomaly for no reason? It's an outlier, so you can kind of push that aside. Or was there something behind that really, caused a spike in traffic, caused a spike in engagement? Was there a particular question that you posed? Those are all things that we really get excited about, because when you get a chance to take a look at the data, you can tie tactics to results.
Yep.
And that's really where rubber hits the road when we talk about marketing. Oftentimes we get into conversations with folks and they just say, well, I think marketing is testing and seeing what sticks with, the old spaghetti mess and throw it at the wall, see if it sticks. It's really not that, and I think oftentimes marketers get a little shy because that's typically the conversation that they're brought into. And folks don't really get the real review and analysis that goes on behind the scenes in marketing, and it really drives these decisions. So, it's not just testing, it's data-driven decisions.
And there's new way, like, and if you're looking at all those same things, but you're like, we'd like to look at some new stuff. You could even do, even if you're a very small,
Oh, maybe having some technical difficulties,
say,
folks.
hey,
Oh, there we go.
we want to look at our messaging and how it's landing, and just go to 15 people and say, hey, I'm not going to tell you anything about what we do. I want you to go to our website and tell me what you think. And then have a series of maybe 10 questions and get that data and analyze it. But now you can take an AI tool. Don't give the AI tool any information, but use like deep research and just say, go to this website and tell me what you think they do well, like, and read it. And if AI is misinterpreting everything you do, you probably need to work on your messaging. So there's just cool new ways in the world we're living
Absolutely.
in to incorporate things like that into your annual review as well. Or quarterly review, I'm sorry.
Well, this is, I think you've touched on a really great point that I want to take a pause and just speak about is, there is a change in the world that we live in. And if you aren't privy to AI, then you're probably not playing in this space. And I think there's a lot of different interpretations of AI, of how is it going to be used? Was there a fear factor around it? Is there a big embrace? But to your point, the AI tools and allow it to do the research. There's some things that, we've always talked about as SEO and paid ads and Google ads and driving traffic. But the way that we now search, voice was a big thing for a while. How are people searching by voice? Well, the searching is now going to be completely flipped, and folks are leveraging AI agents to do their searching. So is your business findable when someone searches something like that through a Chat GPT, a Perplexity, that's going out and scrubbing the internet and bringing it back? So search is no longer just Google. Search is no longer just your phone and voice or your social search, but it's AI search. And there's predictions out there that it is going to become the number one way that we as consumers do our research, because that's how we buy now. We look for social credibility. We look for, how does the rest of the world interpret this brand? We've very much changed the way in which we buy. So I think it's important that, yes, there's a little bit of uncertainty in AI. Yes, there's a little bit of fear around AI. But I really, truly encourage folks to embrace it, because there's opportunities there for you to really improve your business by leveraging the AI tools, but also by just making sure that you're searchable and findable. And to your point, Angie, taking a chance and saying, hey, let's just go put our brand into AI and see what comes out. Is this what we really want folks to interpret? So I just find that's really fascinating. And it's a great time to do it. It's getting into Q2, take a look back at Q1, take a look at the data, take a look at the spring season, incorporate these colors, incorporate a new little bit of flavor and taste for your brand, but also take a look at what tools are popping up. How can you leverage some of these tools? How can you lean into AI and really position your business? Because, much like we talk about with a lot of our technology clients, and the messages, don't get left behind. Whether you're talking about cybersecurity, you're talking about ERP technology, you're talking about recruiting, even talk about B2C. If you don't embrace this technology to at least a certain degree, the likelihood that you're going to be left behind is pretty high. So it's not to say that as a fear factor, but it's, hey, kind of get with it a little bit, and let's take a look at how it will work for your business. And it's not one size fits all. So I just find it's really, really exciting time for us as we get some new data from 2025. We can see what's working. We get this new sunshine coming back into our lives with springtime, and folks are finally ready to move and groove. And I really feel like Q2 is a big quarter for most businesses. Q1 kind of comes out of that holiday season. There's a little bit of a winter lull, and you're ramping back up into spring, into summer, and folks are doing things and buying things and making investments and making decisions. And this is just a really, really great opportunity for you to position your business for success.
So good. So fun. And it's a fun time of year.
It really, really is. But the point of these strategy talks is to be short and sweet and digestible. And I think we just hit the 15-minute mark. So with that said, I think we're just going to wrap it up. But as always, if you guys have topics, you have questions on what we talked about today, or there's a future topic that you want us to dive into, let us know. Drop a comment, shoot us a message. We'd love to connect with you and dive on in together. But appreciate you as always.
I think it might be the first time we've made it in 15 minutes. So
yeah, we have a tendency to be long-winded, folks. Maybe that's just the mother-son relationship, but we appreciate you all. Blessings to everybody that's out there. Embrace the season. Have a blessed Easter. And if you're looking for some assistance or you just have some questions, we're here for you. Dive on in with us. But have a great rest of your week. Thanks, everybody. Take care.
Yeah.